Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Indie Pride from Milk and Cookies Total War, and I hope you all had a wonderful holiday season. Now I wanted to do this video a while ago because frankly, it's been hinted at continuously over the last month or so, but with Christmas craziness and travel and everything else that was going on, I just ran out of time. So let's jump right into it. Mousillon and Middenland, two sub-factions for the Vampire Counts and the Empire respectively, will become playable in the Total War Warhammer campaign sometime during the next few months, possibly as soon as the Old World Edition launches in February. Now why do I say that? Well, this isn't insider information. I don't have any info from Creative Assembly other than what has been intentionally and perhaps unintentionally given to the community. But the Total War team has indeed dropped some massive hints in regards to adding more legendary lords and playable sub-factions in the Total War Warhammer campaign. If you're new to Warhammer, Mousillon is a city and former dukedom situated on the western coast of Bretonnia. It is a cursed realm, ravaged by plague and death for centuries. Necromancers and powerful vampires, including corrupted Bretonian nobility who were given the Blood Kiss, naturally took interest in the city and formed covens and their own parody of government in its dilapidated ruins. Middenland is an imperial province in the north of Reichland, ruled by the Elector Count Boris Todbringer. The capital of the province is Middenheim, a fortress of immense power and the holy city of the White Wolf. Middenheim itself is virtually unassailable, built directly into the mountains that rise above the Drakewald forest. Although Sigmar's divinity is still recognized by its people, Middenland actually worships the war god Ulrich first and foremost. Cult of Ulrich plays a huge part in the governing of the city, and is second in religious power within the Empire, only to the cult of Sigmar. So with that out of the way, let's talk about why these sub-factions will become playable in campaign, and what it means for the future of Total War Warhammer. Obviously, alongside the Realm of the Wood Elves DLC, both Middenland and Mousillon became their own playable factions in custom battles and multiplayer, and to this point, no factions playable in custom or multiplayer have been left out of campaign. That to me is the biggest hint, first and foremost. CA doesn't add factions for the fun of it, they're laying the groundwork for a bigger release still to come. I think about 2 months ago, maybe around the time of the King and the Warlord DLC came out, they released a new free LC schedule that gave us a pretty massive hint about future free content. At the end of the schedule, there was a picture with a big question mark that said, "An old friend." Now the building in the background is clearly Empire and Origin, and the background pictures on these schedules always match up with what race the content is corresponding to. Darren told us on Reddit it would also be a Lord, so without any real analysis done so far, it's clear that an old friend will be an Empire Lord. And if you recall, Boris was added as an unlock for those who beat the Call of the Beastmen DLC campaign, which released in June or July of this year, so he's been in the game for a while. If all that stuff isn't enough to convince you, the Middenland Runefang has unique effects in campaign now, and has since the Wood Elf DLC was released. It gives +6 melee attack, +5 public order in the local province, a 5% post-battle loot income bonus, and gives Todbringer constant passive health regeneration in battle. What's also interesting is that the Middenland roster in custom battle and multiplayer is completely missing any Empire Sigmarite units. That means no Sons of Sigmar, no Flagellants or Tattersouls Regiment of Renown, no Archlector, no Warrior Priest of Sigmar. They don't even have Reiksguard, who are of course the bodyguards of Karl Franz, who lives in Reichland. Now why would those units be missing? Well, as I mentioned earlier, the people of Middenland worship the war god Ulrich, whose symbol is the White Wolf. They have their own military and religious institution, which revolves around the Ulrich, who is the supreme spiritual and military leader of the Cult of Ulrich, similar to the Grand Theogonist for the Cult of Sigmar. He is guarded by the Teutogen Guard, handpicked from the Knights of the White Wolf. The Teutogen Guard fight on foot with massive two-handed warhammers, while the Knights of the White Wolf are shock cavalry who use those same brutal weapons. What I'm hoping for, and what I think could be very likely, is that when Boris Todbringer is added to the Total War Warhammer campaign as a playable legendary lord with a unique start position in Middenheim, is that we'll also get a Warrior Priest of Ulrich hero, Knights of the White Wolf cavalry, and or Teutogen Guard. It is possible CA just stripped Sigmarite units out of their roster to add a bit of Warhammer flavor and distinction to their roster, but it's tough for me to imagine they wouldn't want to add something back in to fill those gaps. All the evidence at the moment points towards a few special units being added for Middenland. Otherwise, I don't see why CA would have bothered going in to take them out of the Middenland roster. And adding Middenland and those new units, of course, would excite a lot of people. I mean, Knights of the White Wolf are a very unique and awesome looking knightly order with two-handed warhammers, wolf pelts on their back, and barding on their horses and plate armor on themselves. They look very intimidating and would have a unique playstyle as shock cavalry that can actually go into melee and last in melee for a while, because it's not so much about the charge bonus with them, but more about their staying power in combat. In tabletop, their stats were pretty much identical to the other Empire Knights, but still, it'll be interesting to see how CA implements them if they do get added. Either way, it's super clear to me that Middenland is coming. On the other hand, Mousillon is coming to campaign as well. When the Old World Edition releases in February, Bretonnia will be released as a free faction for all Total War Warhammer owners. I've covered that in another video. I think Bretonnia will be getting a lot of cool stuff, and maybe even some new units that represent what they would have gotten had GW ever released an updated 8th edition army book for their roster. But Bretonnia will need enemies. Certainly the tyranny of the Wood Elves AI and their obscene ability to expand and not be restricted by Amber when they purchase elite units will be an issue for the Knights of the Lady, but presumably the Feyfolk AI will be nerfed somewhat before then, and if and when that happens, there will need to be another threat that threatens Bretonnia's borders. A lore-friendly threat, and that's where Mousillon comes in. The Red Duke and Mousillon are currently playable in custom and multiplayer, as I mentioned, and they literally fit the same exact mold as Middenland, a sub-faction already in the game that has the opportunity to start in a unique and very interesting start position. In this case, a Vampire Count sub-faction starting in Bretonnia that wouldn't require a massive amount of work to implement. Now, the Red Duke is a former Bretonnian Duke who was betrayed by his own people during an errantry war in Araby and given the blood kiss by none other than Abarash, who recognized in him supreme martial skill and honor. The blood kiss that Abarash gave him resurrected the Duke, but unfortunately also drove him completely mad. And when he awoke 3 days after his death, he slaughtered many innocents, drawing powerful warriors to his side from across the realm and raising legions everywhere he went. He's a literal blood dragon knight, and as you saw in my Red Duke video a week or so ago, he is a monster in single combat in Total War Warhammer as well. I would imagine once his entire melee tree is kitted out in campaign, there will be very few legendary lords not named Kolek or Durthu who can best him in a 1v1 duel. Now in the free LC schedule, there is a Vampire Lord second to last on the agenda. I had been hoping when I first saw it that that would be Neferata. I think she's the Vampire Counts character I'm most looking forward to seeing as the trilogy moves forward that we don't already have. Maybe Krell could be thrown in there as well, but I think Neferata is probably on my top. But considering there's nothing else on the schedule that could be the Red Duke, and there's no way Vampire Counts are getting 2 more legendary lords in quick succession, or at least I would be very surprised if they did, I'm 95% sure that the free Vampire Counts lord on the DLC schedule, free LC schedule, that's second to last on that schedule, will be the Red Duke. Now, I'm not complaining about that. That's awesome. I mean, as long as he's getting his unique start position and color scheme in Mousillon, it's going to be great. He was definitely a character I was very much looking forward to seeing, and I'm glad that he's getting added. CA's definitely listened very well to the community on that front. And we could always see Neferata later on in a rivalry pack with Queen Khalida or something like that. So we'll see if she gets added as well. But still, I think the Red Duke being added is a great thing for the game, and especially if he's in Mousillon, which he will be because we already know he is. Good stuff. By the way, you may have noticed in this gameplay that my units are looking real fancy, all decked out in Bretonnian armor, and the reason for that is that in this gameplay I am using the Mousillon City of the Damned reskin mod, which is absolutely gorgeous. Highly recommend that mod. It's called Mousillon City of the Damned, and I'm sincerely hoping that CA does something similar when they're officially added. An undead faction with a Bretonnian aesthetic just looks so good, as you can very clearly see in this gameplay, and it wouldn't be hard to implement either because it doesn't require any new assets, and it would just give them some awesome and unique flavor. All the stuff that would be required to reskin them is already in the game because obviously modders are doing it, and I think that it would just make them have a little bit more unique flavor and just looks gorgeous in general. Don't know if we'll get to see a reskin for them, but I really hope we do. So ultimately, for Mousillon and Middenland, I think this is fantastic news. Creative Assembly, again, I've mentioned many times, they've done a great job listening to what the community wants in terms of our desire for unique starting positions and sub-factions, because it just adds so much replayability. And they've been incorporating it everywhere they can. They incorporated it with the Wood Elves DLC, giving Durthu his own faction, that kind of stuff. It's awesome that CA is listening to the community so well on that front. Now, I still think they need to go back and give Ungrim Slayer Keep and give Azhag a starting position in Troll County if possible, but I'm very much looking forward to a playable Boris Todbringer and Red Duke in campaign. So do me a favor, let me know in the comment section what you'd like CA to incorporate alongside these factions, whether that be new units like the Knights of the Black Grail from Mousillon, or just reskins to give them some more flavor. And let me know if these factions becoming playable is even exciting for you. I mean, some people probably don't care too much about the minor sub-factions and are impatiently awaiting news for Skaven or Chaos Dwarfs and the like, and of course I am too, but I honestly don't think we'll be seeing any more major factions in Game 1 of this trilogy after Bretonnia comes in February, mostly because CA made it very clear the Wood Elves DLC would be the largest remaining piece of content for Game 1, but content releases like this for sub-factions or minor factions are still very much a distinct possibility. Maybe Dogs of War, maybe Kislev could be coming. Who knows? I'll definitely say that as more and more playable sub-factions get added, that makes it more likely in my eyes that we will see legit minor factions like Kislev become playable at some point. We can cross our fingers, might be wishful thinking, don't know if CA has the rights to them or not, but if they do, and considering they are already on the campaign map, it definitely seems like a plausibility. So, we can cross our fingers, hopefully we see Kislev, hopefully we see Dogs of War, hopefully we see these minor factions in Game 1. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Indie Pride, signing out for now.